Hello, everybody, and welcome back to that Milan podcast. Martino Puccio, Matt Santangelo, alongside you guys as always. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you have not already. Already a turbulent start to the season that we'll get into very shortly. We're sorry this episode came out a little bit later than usual, but we've both been busy and haven't been able to sync up our schedules for it. But we got everything for you guys today as we head towards the end of the transfer deadline. Still, no predictions just yet for where Milan are going to finish the season from us. Because guess what? They're doing transfers very last minute, and we're going to get into all of that stuff. So, Matt, we'll start off with the most amazing and hilarious result possible. And the way it went down was just same old shit, different day, different toilet, whatever you want to say. Milan lose to newly promoted Cremonese. Obviously, we saw them a couple years ago. They made a deep run into Coppa Italia. I think it was like the semifinals. This was from minute one, I think, Matt. The second you saw Modric bench Samuel Ricci, and it wasn't just that Modric was starting, it was that Ricci was sitting for this match after all the good he did. It was a head scratcher heading into it, but everyone, including myself, was saying, you know what? It's Cremonese. No excuses. Should be able to win this one. They couldn't. It was laughable from minute. They started off well. I'll say this. The first 15 minutes, Milan were the better team. Had nothing to show for it. Then the usual happens. They allow, I believe it was a set piece or even a cross in the middle of the box. Pavlovic, incapable of marking Baschirotto. He heads in that goal. Cremonese go up 1-0. The visible frustration on Mike Magnan's face was every single one of us. Because how, Matt, is a professional incapable of marking a relegation-level center back? And Baschirotto is a respectable player. I don't even mean to slander him in that way. But how is it possible that these professionals in this team are incapable of the most fundamental skills in defense? Can you explain this to me with this guy Pavlovic? Because I can't understand this.
So when we brought in Pavlovic, right, and we talked to Nemanja, right, he pretty much laid out what we anticipate Pavlovic being in his arrival at Milan, what type of defender we were getting, right? And we knew there was going to be rawness, there was going to be mistakes in there. We knew it. And obviously, when you get someone who is young, that's bounced around a couple times, there's obviously reason as to why he's doing that, right? And we knew there were going to be lapses in there, right? And I look at Pavlovic as a profile, and I think, okay, fine. If nothing else, at least he's going to be someone who's physical. He's going to use his size. He's going to do a lot of those things. I know he's not delicate, graceful on the ball. He's not this sort of Bastoni-esque passer, distributor. He's not that type of player. You expect him to get the ball, dump it off to someone who can move the ball, and at least be a physical presence in the box. Maybe not to the level of Baschirotto, but someone that can kind of be a little bit of a box bully and give Milan some solidity, which they needed, right? It's like a presence. And he wasn't. He hasn't been. And I think you kind of start to look at his game and wonder, what does he really do that is serviceable? He does not really many things in his game. Like, I could drag on and on about him because I think ultimately the performance itself as a group was not there, bar a couple players individually within the team.
I think only two had a good game.
But I think, again, it just gets very much highlighted because the defense was such a major issue last year and the previous years. So the fact that on match day one against a newly promoted team, we're still having this conversation. And on August 27th, at the time of recording, we still have yet to bring in any sort of center back profile that really raises the overall level of this defense is very worrying. And the fact that you're neglecting this area in such a way, while also at the same time simultaneously trying to transition to a 5 at the back formation, is head scratching to me. Because if you're going to go and make such a drastic shift towards that formation, you need to make sure that that defense is a point of emphasis in the market. And so far, as much as I may like Cone de Winter, and as much as I may have liked the money that we got back from Malik Chow was someone that can pass the ball. And overall, we still haven't raised the level of quality that this defense needs if we want to get back to being, at least a top 4 team. I can't even have the conversation with Scudetto because we're going nowhere with this defensive performance.
No, I mean you just look at the talent on the pitch.
Yeah.
You look at it.
A lot
And
of you have at most 3 to 4 good okay defenders.
I think you're
Like
being
on their
generous.
day, like Tomori can be good on his day. But you don't have anybody in that team that's even close to a
You could
Bastoni or a Bremer or someone of that ilk.
I don't
They
even
might be
think any
close.
is any center back on this team. I genuinely mean this. Is anyone better than Francesco Acerbi or on his level? I don't even think they are. And he's
Maybe
30.
Gabbia. Like Gabbia
Right,
doesn't do
but
any.
but
Gabbia
that's like
doesn't do
the thing.
anything extremely well, but he does, in my opinion, he doesn't do anything
Mediocre.
that's extremely detrimental to this team defensively.
No, I don't I never mind Gabbia.
Yeah,
I will never like go at him because I understand his ceiling as a player, right? We
yeah,
know his limitations. I'm not going to get angry at him for them putting him in this position where he's very clearly in a 3-back system. If we're going on 3-back system, your best center back of the central center backs. Tomori cannot play centrally like that. He's best on the right center back. And guess who's also best as a right center back in a back 3? Cody DeWinter, the guy you bought. So, like, the replacement of the player that you got rid of is in a different position and potentially blocked by the guy in front of him who also can't play on left center back. These guys do not have strong technical ability either. Like, I cannot watch Pavlovic anymore. I am sorry. And people were like coming at me after he scores the goal afterwards. I don't give a shit, man. And like, I don't want to see you on this field because you don't know what you're doing. He's a headless chicken on a consistent basis. And you're right. It's like he's a master of none, jack of minimal trades. It is honestly tiring to watch this guy and see the professional. Like, it's not even a miscommunication here. He very clearly has to mark Baschirotto. There is zero excuse not to be on there. And then we'll even talk about the second goal because we don't want to harp on this game too much because we have a lot to get into. Alexis Salamakers as a whole, I thought played a really fine game. I thought he did well. I thought him and Luka Modric are the 2 starters in this one where I'm not really going to get after. But Salamakers on this second goal with Bonazzoli, he did not close well on this cross. He allowed too much space for this cross to come in. Okay. And then when we see the cross come in, Yusuf Fofana, and we'll get into the midfield too, because they were garbage. Fofana and RLC were terrible. Terrible. Absolutely abysmal. The balance was not there. It was pathetic. Fofana leaves Bonazzoli completely wide open. And then this guy scores the goal of the year in the first match. Former Inter-Youth product. This guy does nothing. I'm not even, again, trying to disrespect the guy. Good for him. Good for them. They raised their level. They're the second I saw Davide Nicola's face, I was like, oh, shit. Like, I had like that feeling of like, you know what? That 2-0 prediction, Martino, might have been stupid. And I had a subtly bad feeling when I saw it was just Modric starting in and Ricci was benched. The substitutes felt late. The combination play up top as well between Santi and Pulisic was non-existent. I think Santi played terrible, but I also think it's reflected in the fact that the midfield was the main huge issue in not allowing these guys to do enough offensively because they don't know how to control the tempo. They're not good enough at winning the ball back. It was terribly balanced. But just the man marking again here with Fofana, Matt, like I thought it was benchable. Like that performance, that play in itself was like, get off the field. I don't want to see you for a couple of
I
weeks.
think when you can praise the goal, and it was a fine
It was
goal by
great.
Bonazzoli. It was a fantastic goal
Yeah.
because I saw people saying, well, nothing you could take away from it. That was a fantastic goal. If a guy like Bonazzoli, right, who journeyman type Serie A player, decent little player in teams like this, if he can find the pocket of space to have the time to just kind of get himself into a position where he can say, I'm going for a bike here. Like,
Yeah. Now
that
he
there's
literally
something
had all
wrong
day.
there,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're marking the player you're supposed to be marking, or at least zonal marking, covering the area and space you're supposed to be as a defensive group, and in that phase, you don't really give a player time to pull off a bike. Like there's no space, there's no time. Like if you're close enough and you're doing your job. So the fact that when you have him in an opportunity where he's able to position himself, get a clean strike of the ball, and Magnon's not really able to do much of anything to keep it out, it says a lot about how we've defended in that game. And that comes down to, yes, multiple individuals, right?
Yeah.
You can praise the goal with understanding the fact that, getting a player like that who, again, you prep for these games, right? But this isn't some guy, circle him on the team sheet. This is a guy that can kill us. This isn't a guy that's a bona fide threat to score goals, and then here he is pulling off the miraculous goals. And of course, it's a bicycle kick. Of course, it's a bicycle kick at home on match day one. It's never a normal goal, like, man, almost like the Parma games.
It's literally contender for goal of the year,
right? Like
the
game last year against Parma on match day one was just Teo not tracking back, same issues, but it was attacking 101, run into space behind. These guys aren't covering their area, and they were crossing balls into the box and having tap-in goals. So Milan need to figure this out. It's match day one. I'm not going to completely jump off the deep end just yet. I know we have every reason to because of everything that's happening with the market and the lack of influential signings. But a really bad stain and a really bad feeling to take out of match day one, because you look at some of the teams we're competing against for top four spots, and they look leaps and bounds just more prepared on match day one. And it's very, very odd because, Fofana, Loftus-Cheek, Pavlovic, Tomori, I understand it's a new coach. I understand it's a new formation, but these guys have been at this club. They've been here for at least a couple of years, a year, more than a year. So the fact that you're able to, again, not be able to deliver at least, adequate to, basic elementary defensive contributions.
It has not. Yeah, you're right. It has nothing to do with formation or any of that stuff. We'll just the last thing I really want to talk about with the tactics. I'm so disappointed in Max. I think Max got this completely wrong. And to an extent, I do kind of agree with some people who are like, the team that they fielded was more than enough to beat Cremonese. And I do agree with that. However, some people were trying to sit there, and I think Nicolo Skira was insane. Skira, he had mentioned Luka Modric should have, he was in the fine position. He wasn't really. Modric as a regista, he's capable of doing it. But he had a good match. The best version of him, the best moment that we saw of Modric in that match was that offside assist to Santi Jimenez. Yeah. If you allow one of the greatest midfielders of all time to be closer to goal and create, instead of handicapping him, staying back and holding,
he also had a shot on target that was on target.
Yes.
Right? It's crazy to think, but yes, you want a guy like Luka Modric pushing forward, but we have to be honest with ourselves and
that was the point I was trying to get to is Richie's playing fantastic the entire time. The entire preseason, he played great against Body.
He literally showed it. This guy was brought in. We know who he is.
He's also to the counter argument that some people make, and you've heard this, is Yashadi's not. He hasn't played in Italy yet. We got to wait for him. Okay, fine, fair enough. Richie is seasoned. This player has played over 100 matches in Serie A. What else do you need?
Very early.
And he's been fully integrated. He didn't come in late into the window. Right. This was a failure on Allegri in that sense, and it cost them. So Milan have to do what they can. And speaking of, this is they're doing what they can. Is Adrien Rabiot of Marseille right now, formerly of Juventus, PSG. We know he's been really a name linked to Milan for over a decade at this point, if you've been following the club for a while. This is an Allegri guy. We know he's been an Allegri guy. Huge controversy coming out of Marseille in France, and De Zerbi's team. We've seen a lot of issues over there. Can you really be surprised with that dressing room and the players in there? I say no. So the rumor is he's out. His mother had been making crazy comments, and I agree with her. And usually she's pretty nuts. I agree with her in the sense of this, Matt. She's basically saying, my son was more punished than a player in Mason Greenwood for all the things that he had done as a person off the pitch. And I could not agree more with her. However, the situation with Milan is this. 15 million euro is the fee asked for from Marseille. I think it's fine. I understand his age, blah, blah, blah. The salary is high. We get it. But we talked about this last year and plenty of times. If you cut corners and you want to go for cheaper options, it gives you less guarantees. Yes, would you be overpaying for Rabiot with his salary? Indisputable. Yes, you would. But you know what? It gives you more of a guarantee than Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Youssouf Fofana, in my opinion, and Musah. He immediately would be, we'll see what Yashadi is. He's at least your third best midfielder. And I get where that's coming from with Allegri because he wants those guarantees. Whatever Fofana and maybe Loftus-Cheek do, we'll see what ends up happening there. People were like, "Oh, a swap deal involving Benacer, they wouldn't even pay $9 million for him, guys.
Yeah.
There's no straight swap here.
Nope.
I urge you to wake up and smell the roses because it's illogical."
People were crazy too because people were still kind of clinging on to hope for a Benacer revival last year, right? And we
It's over.
didn't want to treat it as though that we were ungrateful for everything that Benacer did for this club, especially in the Scudetto year and his early years at Milan. He was transformative in the way that we were able to get out of such dark times and get into a position of being a regular contender or competitor in the Champions League and then eventually win a Scudetto. But the legs are not there. The physical aspect is not there. He's not at that level where we can rely on him. So the fact that a team like Marseille, who's like, nah, we're not taking this option, and the option wasn't crazy. It was like about 11, 12 million.
Yeah, around there.
Something like that. They basically say, yeah, we don't really trust him either. We don't think he's someone that can fit with us going forward. And, so now you're in a position where you're trying to pawn him off somewhere because you're trying to scale down. And that's been the big theme of the summer, right? Is, Allegri wants 23 players. Now Tare has to kind of shed the dead weight in this team, and he's done a pretty good job of it. But you're still holding on to a couple remnants of last season that you can't get rid of. And the way I look at the way we're approaching the final days of the market is very interesting to me because, all the names that are circulating are, and Vlahovic has been a name that's been prevalent in the market, right? And in media in general. But Rabiot and Demiral, if I'm cool with a coach having a familiarity and understanding and preference for his own guys, I'm fine with that because that happens not just here, that happens at several different clubs. Hey, I worked with this guy. I like him. Bring him in. Conte, right. Conte, no, he's
notorious for it. Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, if you're going to do it, I almost like, okay, then do it. Do it early in the market. Do it early in the market. It almost seems as though with the Rabiot situation, they're trying to see if they can kind of take advantage of the fact that things are very, very uneasy with Rabiot at Marseille and say, hey, you want to get rid of this player. He doesn't want to play anymore. You want to dump him. We'll give you a nominal fee and we can take advantage of that. That's not the way to play it. And I also look at the fact that, it's ironic because for a very long time, we all agreed that the midfield was lacking. It wasn't at the level it needed to be last year. For all the good that Tijani did and Fofana had his moments, the midfield was a big Achilles heel for this team. And isn't it ironic that I actually, of all the areas that we've kind of went in for to address in the market, the midfield's been the one I've been like, okay, I'm fine with this on the sell side and buy side. I like Modric, even on a short-term deal. I like Yashari. I know it took a long time. And I like Ricci. So you got three profiles in there. You lost Tijani Reinders, but you look at the team and the way this team is shaped up, you're like, the midfield doesn't seem like it's a glaring, dire need right now. So it's very interesting to see how now all of a sudden, that summit that Allegri had, where it was right after the game, he was like, I need attacking midfielder. I need this, I need that. And now all of a sudden, there's so much reaction out of that because there's panic. You could feel the panic.
This is kind of what I wanted to ask you because it was brought up and mentioned in multiple reports is that Allegri has been asking for players pretty much all summer.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten him a single one. And there are more and more reports of a struggle of power between what Tade and Allegri want to move towards and what the King CEO that people love to defend.
Well, you see that though, Martino, because the reports were the whole summer, he really likes Malik Chow. You sold Malik Chow, and we can all agree that fee was very good.
Yeah.
But that's a coach saying, I like this guy. I want to keep him. No, we're selling him for 40. Okay. Musah, he seemed to very much like. All the reports are saying he really likes Musah. Whether we like him is another conversation, but you're bringing the coach in, you're bringing the guy in to do a job. And the fact that you're still kind of going against a lot of what he wants,
Shaka was
again,
another
it really shows you that there's a lot of egos at play. There is at least some friction. I'm not saying it's major, but there is resistance for the guy that you hired and for you to let him have the reins to build this team out as he wants. You can clearly see it.
There is a common, and I've heard as a person, as a human being, not a bad guy, but as a CEO, as someone who's operating this club, a parasite. This, and again, some people, and I totally understand, he's the face of it. He's the CEO. He's making a lot of these decisions, right? He was put into this position of power by the owner. The owner's culpable here. And a lot of people kind of are backing off on the owner in this. It's his fault. And I brought this up the other day too. Is like, it would be hilarious, right? Because we think the CEO is not good enough at his job. He should go. Zlatan's useless. He should go.
He's also been very quiet. You notice how quiet he's been this summer?
Who?
Zlatan was talking at every single
shut up. Yeah, no, correct. But there was one common denominator here. We saw it happen when Maldini was gone. We knew where the friction was.
Yep.
The problems they never had these problems under Ivan Gazidis. Gazidis was a phenomenal CEO. When you look at it on paper, right? When Jerry Cardinale comes in and he says, we need to make profit, we need money, right? In general, that's the main goal. That's the overarching goal. And I had people trying to explain to me on how Milan is ran these days. Guys, you don't listen to our stuff then if you don't think we don't know how this has gone, right? We know exactly what they want. This guy and these hedge funds want to capitalize and flip this club for profit. They want to make money off of them. This is not news that suddenly has come out of the sky. We are right to complain and whine about this every single week, every single summer, because you want to know why? This is the wrong direction to put this club in. Just simple. They're doing a terrible job of it, especially where they were after they won the title. You cited all the time with what Maldini was saying. The time is now to understand the moment and build on that. They didn't. They've regressed. We've seen it time and time again. I don't give a shit about buy to sell and sell to buy. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable at a club like this. And people telling me, and it's infuriating to read, like I don't know this. I am disagreeing with it. I know why they're doing this. I know how they're doing it. They do it poor in practice. And guess what? You can make a profit and turn a profit by doing other methods other than buying to sell and selling off all these players where you have no idea what you're doing afterwards. They're about to sell Samuel Chukwueze to Fulham. There is no striker or winger to fill in for him immediately. There is no immediate replacement.
But Martino, in that same breath, I have to wonder though, why would we just talking?
Yeah, you're right.
Why would we go after a winger when we're playing a 3-5-2? We don't even know Pulisic. Pulisic's not going to even be a winger in this formation.
Pulisic is irrelevant in that system.
But that's what I'm saying to you. So if we're going to go and get right, because then we bought Pulisic and we bought Chukwueze as two right wingers a couple summers ago, right? Because we were playing with wingers. Now at least looks as though we're playing with 5 at the back and a 3-5-2 formation. Again, that can change week to week. That can change in game. But as far as the way this squad was built out, it seems as though we are building this team to play in a 3-5-2 or 3-man defense, right? That's the kind of the thing I'm trying to grasp, because I'm seeing reports of, okay, fine, they're looking to get Chukwueze and now they got to go and try to get another option. Do we know what formation we want to play? Do we know what our identity is? Because if we're playing a 3-5-2 and we're trying out a 3-5-2 every match day, but we're going after another winger who won't fit in a team that plays with a 3-5-2 unless he's a workhorse, like a player like Alexis Salamakers who can play as a wing back. What are we doing here?
CEOs.
That's the confusing part in all this. So I don't really truly know. I think that the guys on the Sempre Milan podcast, the shout out to Lorenzo and Steph, they did, I think both podcasts. They did the pub chat and they did the weekly podcast for them. Go check that out. I really do encourage you guys to listen to that.
Really good people.
The pub chat was really, like, it took every single thought I had, my sentiments. It was like everything there in a 35-minute podcast. Yeah, and basically the way we're saying is, you're not in the Champions League. You have to scale down this team. You sold off a top player in a very unpopular way, and for a fee below what he's worth. The market shift should have been, hey, let's just worry about getting our top 15 players. Depth should not be a main primary concern for this team, given the fact that we have one competition. It should have been, how can we, if we're doing something unpopular and selling Tijani Reinders, similar to what we did years ago with Tonali, raise the overall profile and level of this team? You know how you do that? You see what players you can keep, and players that you visualize staying within this team. And now you go and say, you know what? We desperately need a striker. Even if we like certain things about Santi, we're going to go and get another striker because we're playing with 2 strikers up top. right? If you're going to lean into a formation with 2 strikers, and that is a big point of emphasis, then lean into it. Give fans the confidence and say, hey, you know what? We were going to a 3-5-2. We're going to get 2 premium center backs. We are going to get good wing backs that can get forward and can defend. We are also going to make sure we get someone in that striker position. So that's another thing that's very puzzling about all this, is it seems as though that the way we're playing is a 3-5-2, but the way we're approaching the market, the way we're building out this team shows us that we're almost like non-committal and reluctant to go headfirst in the deep end, dive all in on a 3-5-2 formation.
Well, I don't even think Allegri truly even wants to do the 3-5-2. I think he looks at his team and he says,
this is a 3-5-2.
This is probably the best I can do
Correct.
with the defenders I have.
Correct.
You're not giving me what I want, so with what I have to make use of it. And it like truthfully, like the center backs within this team, like they suck, but like best case scenario for who they have, yeah, they probably have to go 3 at the back.
And what's puzzling too, Martino, is again, we can kind of play accounting and do the dollars and cents and you crunch all the numbers. We've done so well on the sales side, and the conversations I seem to have with, it's interesting because I mentioned with the Yajaka QR going to Porto, right, for 25 million. And I'm like, you know what? Like, why aren't we going after this guy? Like, I understand he's not Saliba, he's not your Bremer, he's not
25 million.
But he's 25 million, and I like to think that he raises, like, he's better than pretty much what we have. So why are we going after? No, he's not worth it. Okay, but then on the same breath, people are saying Leone's not worth 35 to 40 million. So you don't want to pay 35, 40 million for a prospect that could be very good, but you don't want to pay 25 million for a guy that's proven that he can play in a big club in a top league. So what do you want? Do you want a non-experienced guy, unknown? What do fans want? Because the way I'm looking at this, if you told me the way this market shaped up, Matt, would you have spent 35 to 40 million on Leone? Absolutely. Because at least it would have shown us we're spending premium money to address the area in defense. But the fact we're not doing that is very problematic, and it's very worrisome. Because I don't see anywhere late in this market where all of a sudden we're going to get the right profile defensively that's all of a sudden going to transform this defense. Is Demiral someone who's going to transform this defense? I don't think so. I think he's an okay defender, but there's a reason why he spent his last 3 years in Saudi and no one's really wanted to come in to bring him back to Europe.
He's had an injury history in the past. I'll just say this before we move to Chukwueze and a little bit of the striker situation, the conversation surrounding them. The final point that I want to make on Furlani and what this philosophy is that they're trying to implement with making profit. He is so solely obsessed with profit that it hurts the product. Because if you're a business, right, and your business comes in and says, oh, our goal is to make a lot of money. That's a horrible approach, because you know what? If you have a great product, you're going to make money anyways. What made Milan so rich and so historical was that they were a great team. They were winning constantly. They were putting teams out there that compete year in, year out, that their targets are the titles. And if they miss out on it, they're still going to Champions League. You know, aim small, miss small, aim big, miss big. You've ever heard of those terms? It applies to this. He doesn't get it. To him, it's just money, 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 money. Instead of, right, and this is how I transition into the striker situation. Where Conrad Harder, right, or even Boniface, these players are valued around what, Matt? 25 million?
Yeah.
So 25 for them, 35 for Santi Max. Can you do the quick math really for me? Total dollars, how much is that? 60 million, right? So how are we spending 60 million for 2 strikers, but we can't even go in for other positions where, to your point, Leone or Comuzzo for that much money?
Or last year, Buongiorno.
Or where is the release clause for a Moise Kean for 50 million? Where is that they think that they have to go in this 25 million euro sweet spot that they whiff so fucking often on, that they think that this is doable? This isn't, because guess what? The dollars keep racking up, right? We see it where they're like, oh, well, we don't want to whiff on 50 million for a player, but you have no problem whiffing on 90 million worth of players. Like, what are we doing here?
That's the big issue, right? Like that's kind of the big issue is, and this is something that we've been plagued with for several years, right? And I think that, that was such a defining summer, the first summer of Forlani, right? Post Scudetto, it was like, okay, like back in the Champions League for 4 years, this is what we were told, right? Paolo Maldini, Mazzara, hey, we got to get Champions League regularly. We need the revenues. Fine.
Yeah.
Fans bought in. They understand the landscape. There's a lot of dumb fans, and I this is not calling anybody out individually. There's a lot of fans that are very naive, that talk a lot of nonsense, but it's not backed or rooted in anything that's factual. Then there are some that says, hey, you know what? We've been out of the Champions League for a while. We understand the landscape of the sport. Maldini, Mazzara, they're right. We need to get back into the Champions League consistently so we can spend at least somewhat close to some of the big dogs and the teams that are competing for things each year and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right? We get in. We get the Scudetto. Now all of a sudden everyone's looking at this team builder like, man, like at the time, Benacer, Teo, Mignon, Tonali, Rafa. I mean, we got some like cornerstone players that we can build around. Their values were very high. They were growing. They were sought after pieces.
Yeah.
Those were the moments that you go and get that big striker, that big impact guy. And I look at it, and the name that one of the names that just came to mind was last year what Arsenal did with Declan Rice.
Yeah.
They were like, you know what? This is the summer. This is where we have to. I grant that the money is not even the close to being same.
But it's the philosophy,
right? Where they're like, okay, fine, we can do this, we can do that. You know what? You know what we really need? We need Declan Rice. It's going to cost us a lot, but man, this guy's a difference maker. He's someone that can tip the scales, and now all of a sudden we're having that conversation of being in contention to win a title and to go deep into the Champions League. And how good was he? I'm not saying it has to be 120 million. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But there's something about ambition, right? And I'm not saying you could still be ambitious and not spend like Arsenal. You can be ambitious within your parameters and within your budget, like this market should have shown us, because we sold off a big piece, right? The revenues have been good. We sold a lot of dead weight. Credit to Tare, right? Yeah. So that's where we should have been saying, you know what? We're going to go and get two big defenders. We're going to play through at the back. We're going to get Leone. Whether people think he's great or not, and whether they've seen enough of him is another conversation. But if you told any Milan fan saying, you know what,
they sign up
out of this guy, we've looked at him, Leone's the guy. Isn't it funny how Liverpool think he's good enough to spend 35 million, and they have more money to spend with? Fine.
Yeah.
But we're like, nah, we don't want to spend it. We don't want to spend it.
But they rather take risks on someone.
They'd rather take risks.
25 million for Conrad Harder.
Right. And the kid might be good.
Yes.
But he could be a flop, and if he's a flop, we'll sell him for 20 million on an option.
Yeah, exactly. If the logic is this player is too much money because of inexperience, even though he played in Italy and has more experience than Conrad Harder, we're sitting there talking about Harder close to 30 million. And he's trying to make the demands where he's like, nah, I want guaranteed playing time. I want this. I want that. And that's not even getting into the rumors and the theories of Forlani and Buzzardo. And working with an agent specifically and trying to sign his clients, which is a totally different thing. And it's exactly why I tweeted yesterday that Galliani and Maldini were revered. They were respected. And every time they went into a room that they knew that they could negotiate a deal for a player that they think could raise their level, right? It's like, to your exact point, you're like a kid saving up all your money in the piggy bank for that one big purchase that that could, whatever, put you over the top in this manner when in regards to that, right? Like Milan, good purchases there with Benacer. Kessie was good purchases. They're hitting in that sweet spot. They're making measured takes, measured investments. And then they're like, oh, there's a business opportunity, not a business opportunity. There's an opportunity to greatly increase our squad's value and quality. Sandro Tonali will go in 35 million loan with obligation, right? That's where we're moving in here. Oh, Rafael Leao, we love that talent. We're spending 30 million for him. We're going in further. Yashari, to an extent, was that. But to me, where Milan are looking at right now, the basis and foundation of the squad is decent enough that you could go and pay up for a player that gives you more of a guarantee. And it's not just for this season. It's for years from now.
Yep.
And I asked it, didn't I say it last episode or maybe 2 episodes ago, Matt? How many players of these center backs will be on this squad 2 years from now?
I'm surprised several of
One.
these guys. I'm surprised Tomori's still here, to be honest.
It's going to be Gabbia because they need homegrown players
Yep.
and Italians, and he's
Yeah.
decent enough, and he's not going to want to leave. Matteo Gabbia, maybe Coney De Winter, we'll see. But at all these guys 2 years from now, God help us. Speaking of players leaving really quick, Chukwueze to Fulham. This has been brewing for pretty much all summer. The links have been there. We know this. Late into the window, question marks about his future. I think that they have interesting situation. Okay, so the rumor was to go with a Di Marzio, right? If they sell Chukwueze to Fulham, there's Gayan of, I forget what league he plays in. That's his name.
With the
That they would
Brazilian?
no, I'm sorry. I truly forget because I've been so out of the loop. I've been on vacations
I
and
thought
not
it was that
around.
young Brazilian kid that we were linked with last week or something like that, but I could be wrong.
Either way, there's supposedly a player lined up that they want to bring in, right? I'll say this. I liked the idea of Chukwueze. I've seen him play. Sure, highly dysfunctional team. He has some negatives when we see him play. Too weak on the ball, losing the ball, not great out of possession defender. When he's able to get forward and move forward and create and cross the ball, I think he's quality. We just haven't seen it enough. And we're here entering year 3 now on a fourth different manager. That's how crazy it is. That, like many of these other investments, Matt, one more year, this guy's worth nothing. For me, with Chuk to Fulham, when you're getting offered 25 million, I'm sorry, you have to take it. Milan have to take it. I think this is a good sale in terms of figures. And I'm not here to applaud the CEO. I'm not here to like, great job, Furlani, good job. You got money. Good. We need a replacement.
We don't see the money as fans.
We need
Doesn't
quality.
matter to us.
I don't care. Like 25 on paper, okay, good. But in our minds, we're like 25 on paper is great because that means we have more money to get a better player, right? Like today I was saying, 25 million for Musah, 25 million for Chukwueze. That's 50 million. You know who I want? You know who I think we should go in for, even though like I don't think the world of him, is Camuzzo. It should instantly be hello, yes, thank you. And it also shouldn't be on August 27th that this is happening. That's the bigger issue here. You could speak to it now.
And I think, and again, I tweeted this out this morning too. This isn't an opportunity to criticize Tara because I think that Tara is trying to get deals done. I think it's very challenging when you're trying to appease your coach that you hired to do a job and you're trying to get him guys that he does like and he does favor, like a Dusan Vlahovic, with that obstacle being his wages. So you're trying to kind of play both sides, right? Where you have your CEO in your ear saying, we can only spend this. No, I'm not authorizing that deal. I'm not authorizing that fee. And then you have your coach saying, I want this guy. I want this guy. Where's my striker? Where's my midfielder? Where is this player? So you're trying to kind of play both sides. And I think Tari's done a tremendous job on the sales side, right? I mean, there's players within this team that were like Chukwueze, like, we'd be happy to get anything close to what we spent for him. And we're pretty much looking like we're doing that. Same thing with Musah, who looks like he's close to Atalanta, and several other players. Malik Chawi made a big profit on. So like he's done a really good job in scaling down the team, but also getting good profit for this team to operate with on the market. But here's the thing. Unless that's put back into the product that you and I and the fans love and support and watch on a regular basis, the money doesn't matter to me. They can get 300 million in profits and net spend or whatever it is. What you guys want to throw as the word out there? If we don't see it put back into the club and the squad, and it doesn't directly result in success and performance, what good does it do it for me? Oh yeah, like the old thing Bader said years ago when they sold Tonali. Someone somewhere got a wire. Unless we put it back into the money, into the market, and to get this team where it needs to be, it doesn't really concern me. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't do anything. So Chukwueze, for this fee, fair. You sell him off to a Premier League team, similar to Okafor, another good fee that Tare was able to get in. But again, it just goes to show you how poorly assembled this team was going into last year and even with the January market, and how much work has truly needed to be done. Like, how many players have we sold? How many guys have we brought in and then we
It's
still need to bring in
it's the
3 to 4
CEO.
guys?
They've made
Like,
so much money off player
like it's
sales.
crazy to think how much overhauling of this team has played out this summer, and yet on the 27th, we're like, we need comfortably 3 more signings.
Matt, they got 110 million 110 million off of Malik Chow. If these deals go through, by the way, Malik Chow, Yunus Musah, Noah Okafor, and Samuel Chukwueze. These guys did what last year for Milan? You're getting over 100 million. And this is what I was talking about months ago. They had this potential to sell off players, gain some profit, actually do something. I never said that they were going to, but I was like, in theory, it's there. And some people called me crazy. They're like, they're not going to get this money. I say, yes, they are. They're going to get money. And what do with it? They shit in their hands and clap. That's what they did. They suck. And you know what? I'm not even going to blame the sporting director, because he probably thought he had an opportunity to do something. And the same goes for the manager. You can sense the friction. You could tell by reports. You could tell by activity in the market on what's happening. And again, the same thing to wrap up with Musah here. I like the kid. He's done nothing but try his best. I think that there's been flashes of him for sure, but he's just not a good enough player for Milan. They're playing once a week. 25 million is certainly a good fee.
Yep.
I can't argue with it. I have a hard time arguing with that.
Yeah.
However, I'm, again, like you and everyone else, annoyed with how they're doing it after.
Yep.
25 million for Musah. You should have something synced up, ready to go, line up a really good player. It should be part of a center back, straight up, or a striker that you want to get in. And do you want to talk about that striker situation? Because we talked about Musah in this sale plenty.
Yeah.
That's just kind of been accelerating there. Real quick, just like your thoughts on this striker situation as we kind of wrap this up, right? So we're sitting there saying to ourselves, okay, we have one striker, something I've been screaming about all year. Summer. This is so fucking stupid. I can't stand them. This is literally, you're sitting here saying to yourselves, okay, Dusan Vlahovic, he scored, by the way, over the weekend. Allegri wants him. They've been waiting at the window, according to multiple reports, multiple reporters stating this. Conrad Harder's in the mix. Again, the profiles, they don't make sense. Proven guy in Serie A and Vlahovic, who obviously costs a lot of money in terms of annual fees for his wages. And then there's Conrad Harder, who's proven essentially nothing. Could have potential, could be good one day. We don't know. Milan, we do know, have to get into top 4. This club needs it. They need to get back into Europe, especially Champions League. We're sitting there saying to ourselves now, Matt, it's August 27th. Juve and Vlahovic could just say, okay, you could stay on one more year. Or Juve, I think personally, their best case scenario and what they want, Matt, is to get money for Dusan Vlahovic so they can go and get in Kolo Muani or Zagrova to get in with Jonathan David, Yildiz. I think that they have clear ideas in attack, and Vlahovic and his wages are...
So some news.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
So this just came across my desk. Shout out to my brother for sending me the text as I was looking at this. So according to Nicolo Schira, AC Milan have reached an agreement with Dusan Vlahovic for a 5-year contract worth 6 to 7 million plus bonuses per year. So I'm assuming it's 6 to 7 per year plus the opportunity for bonuses. Vlahovic hopes to receive a small severance pay from Juventus and is asking for 10 million sign-on fee. So
bonus.
But yeah, right. So again, that's according to one of his most recent videos is what I'm reading, right? Yeah, I mean, I think all signs point to Dusan Vlahovic being the guy, but again, it just
I've said this.
It's what becomes very frustrating to me, and I understand this is not just a cut and dry. It's not black and white negotiations, especially when you got a player on a club like Juventus making 12 million net per season, and he still has 1 year.
They don't want him. He wants to be.
He don't want to stay, but he's not taking a pay cut. So does he really want to go anywhere, or does he want to stay and just take the rest of his money and see out his contract? I get all that, but again, it just if this is the guy the coach wants, I think you got, in my opinion,
I agree.
This has to be done earlier, in my opinion.
I agree.
You can't leave it to the very end of the summer, especially when you're trying to play this formation. That's number one. Number two is I'm really struggling to try to understand how this attack looks going forward, even when they do get a guy like Vlahovic, right? And the reason why I say that is because, okay, so if you have all these midfielders you bought, you're playing with wingbacks. You now we're going for a striker, so you're going to play striker, and you're not benching Rafa. Rafa's going to be a pivotal member of this team, right? Allegri said it. Rafa's saying, I'm excited to work from him. Okay. Now Christian Pulisic has a contract that he hasn't yet renewed. I'm looking at this, and I'm not saying he's going to leave.
I am saying it.
But I think it's very odd that there was talks of a new renewal. Then he was like, I'm going to wait to see what kind of plays out with this team. He's had 2 great years. That's not in question. His fitness level and his ability to still produce. He's produced 2 of his best years as a professional at AC Milan in this league, which is very humbling to attacking players like him. Where does he fit? Where does he fit within this team?
He doesn't with the 3 at the back. And again, I don't even think they're married to 3 at the back. I'm going to be dead honest with you. I don't think they're going to do that all the time. I don't. I really don't. I think that they could do like a 4-4-2 type of vibe. I think Allegri's done plenty 4-3-3 in his career. That's not like,
No, I know.
Unbeknownst to him.
It's a fair question to ask. And it's the same question
I agree.
Lorenzo asked, where like a player who was like a constant and a sure thing as any player within this team the past 2 years, is almost finding it difficult to understand what his role is.
I don't think that they're gonna do that. I don't think that they're. I would like to think that like Pulisic has a role and they know that they got to play him with Leao. I think what happened is with Leao's injury and where they are in the market currently, Allegri really has truly no choice but to do the 3-5-2, because I mean, you could have said 4-3-3. In my opinion, like you could have fielded Gabbia and Tomori together with right back. I don't even know who you would want to put in there, right? Maybe
De Winter. He plays as a right.
The Winter could have been there, but he was never going to play immediately.
He wasn't brought in to be a right back.
Right, not immediately anyway.
Yeah,
I think he probably could have filled in for a match or 2, but not the first match day. Salamaker's left, Pulisic right, Santi up top, with Modric, Ricci, and one of RLC or Fofana is what I would have done, with Estupinian obviously left back. I think that just what he has right now and what would have been fielded, he thought he could have gotten away with it against Cremonese. Yeah. And truth of the matter is, if he actually fielded a normal midfield and his play, like there's stuff I blame Max for in that game and stuff I don't. I blame him for the terrible midfield display and putting those midfielders in. But I'm not blaming him for professionals being incapable of marking. That's not on the manager. At this level, that's never on the manager. There's things that you could blame them for tactically. Like a Estupinian sucking, that's not on Max. Pavlovic unable to mark, not on Max. Fofana not being able to mark, not on Max. Midfield being terribly balanced on Allegri. But who's his options to put it as striker and take Santi off? Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, I have a hard time kind of getting on him for that. I think it was just a terrible display to start this season. We'll go into the final match today to kind of wrap this pod up here, Matt. They play against Lecce. They're going to be playing them a couple of times. They'll play them in Coppa Italia. Away match for this, they're going to be facing off against Francesco Camarda, arguably Milan's best striker in the squad, could be on the opposing team. It's not a far reach to say, I'll be honest with you. Did you see Camarda against Genoa, the Lecce Genoa game? Did you watch?
I didn't really get a chance to watch.
Okay, so no, that's cool. So I'll just give like a quick background on it. He played a lot of the match. In it, we all know a Genoa Lecce match, there's going to be few and far between opportunities here. Gallo, the left back, had Camarda. Camarda had it ready on a plate for a tap and goal. Like, Camarda was making good runs. I thought he did what he could, being a presence in the box, kind of difficult to score. We know how hard it is, especially at his age. I thought he did solid. Camarda did a solid job in that game. I believe it's the second ever match that he's ever started in Serie A. He started against Cagliari, that 3-3 shit show last year. I thought he did fine. So like obviously outside of Milan, this is something I've been watching. I hope to watch closely. So that's kind of the background on that. We know Rafael Leao will not be there. It really seems like a lot of the same lineup. Outside of we're hoping for a different midfield than this. My anticipation: Ricci, Modric. Who knows who else joins them in midfield? I think it's fairly obvious those two will be starting. I could be wrong.
One of Fofana or RLC gets dropped.
I agree. I don't give a shit who starts out of those two. I think they're two sides of the same coin. For me, I think they're two players who. I think Max's comments about them scoring 15 goals.
It's crazy. But Martino,
I get where he's coming from, though.
Isn't that funny though? Because like I think we discussed that with Marco. I think we were like, all right, fine. You know, you don't. And no one in this team is going to probably give you Tijani output right, yeah, on the goal assist side. And maybe we didn't need it, right? Maybe we're thinking like, all right, well, we're playing with wing backs, we're playing with 3 midfielders. Like, well, it's going to be heavily on the attack. Players are not going to get into those positions maybe to get as many goal contributions as T did. But it's crazy because now you're like, you sold Tijani, and now you're relying on like Loftus-Cheek and Fofana to sort of like replace that output.
Yeah.
And you know they're not capable because they don't have the shot to do it. They don't have the technical ability to do what Tijani did. So it's like, this is the guy that these are the two guys that you're.
But it's also like, just like when you ask RLC and Fofana to do anything outside of like barreling forward, they're incapable of midfield play.
And look at the game against Bari. Look at Fofana shooting. It tells you everything you need to know.
He has one thing on his mind, and it's spam whatever fucking button you play on FIFA. And it's annoying because he doesn't have bad technical quality. I think he's mentally not good enough. Like, dude, like literally, like, so I think all midfielders, regardless if they're box to box, Mezzala, Regista, you know, whatever superlative words. I'm not even gonna use technical empathy in this because I'm not a sicko. But to me, a midfielder should at least be cerebral on some level. And who I think our good friend Giovanesta, Gio, if you, I know you've seen him.
I know.
He's been a good guy for a while. So shout out to him. I know he tunes in every now and then. Bro, he posted that picture of RLC, the screenshot where RLC is passing up the ball on the sideline to Salamakers, who's, you know, his back is against goal, and then Modric is wide open centrally to push forward. And I think my quote tweet was, picture's worth 1,000 fists through a drywall, because it's so infuriating on how stupid like these guys can be sometimes. Like, bro, make the simple pass. Release one of the greatest of all time forward. And you have Cremonese on their toes. You can't even do that. To me, it's mind-boggling. So to freak out about the midfield last game, I'm freaking out about it because of what they did in that match. But as a whole, you would hope to think it's Modric, Yashadi, Ricci, and we get to see that. We get a semblance or a blend of that sort of midfield where you have more balance. But this has also been a thing under the Sperlani era where there's been zero balance and diversifying of their players in midfield, right? Like, how many times did we talk about the double pivot for the past couple of years? We're like, we're playing a double pivot with 0-6s, and it's kind of stupid. We have guys who are like 8.5s, more like attacking midfielders like Reinders, who are like, okay, their quality is probably best closer to goal and in front of goal, not being defensive ball winners, not ball carriers. Like, they don't have good ball winners in the squad. They're still, to me, we'll see what
Ricci, I think. Ricci and Yashari, I think will be pretty.
I think Ricci is more of a dictating of the tempo kind of guy, maybe.
As far as like he'll get into his skirmishes to win the ball. He'll do a lot of those things. So like, I think if it was my choice,
go for it.
You're gonna put Modric. You're gonna start him with the expectation that he's gonna come off maybe after 60 minutes because it feels as though that you're gonna have to manage that workload. Like, he can give you 60 to 70, but you see he was visibly, like, his legs, like he was visibly tired. Like on the bench, just he's tired, and that happens. That's fine. We'll match a week. You give me good 60 to 70 minutes from Modric, I'll take that any day of the week. It's better than pretty much anything we're going to throw out there, right? I truly believe that he's that great still. Then you have Ricci, And then I think you have one of Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Fofana. I'd probably go Ruben Loftus-Cheek because I think Fofana is a little too erratic with his shots. And we need to be in positions where in the final third, if you want to be that guy that carries the ball forward, fine. Dish it off to a player. Cross it into the box. Square the ball. Do something to that effect. We can't be getting into those advanced positions like we were doing so many times with the body game. And obviously, it's a different game. It's, we were up. So rip away, right? That's the mentality, right? Just see if you can grab a goal. But when we're against these teams that are low block, you're not going to really have those opportunities to just rev up, square up, and take a shot as many times as you hope or you'd want, right? Now, this game could be different, but I think truly Milan need to make sure what happened in that first game does not happen in the second game. And that being the striker, if it is Santi Jimenez, it looks like it's going to be probably isolated because he was playing as a striker. Pulisic was playing off him, and Pulisic there was so much space between the midfield and Santi. Santi was
isolated up. He's on an island
by 3 or 4 defenders. So for all the criticism that Santi has gotten,
yeah,
when you have 2 or 3 defenders kind of draped over you and there's no space, and he's not a guy that's running in behind, he's not that striker. We know that. What is he really to do? So now you have Pulisic trying to go deep to pick up the ball. He was doing it a lot, but that's not, he can do it, but not in this system where it's okay. Now he's having to carry by multiple guys, and now the only presence he has going forward is to either play it wide to his Salamakers, and at that point, you're not really going to be in positions where it's not Rafa. He's not going to run by a guy, take him on 1v1. Salamakers is going to be good in possession, is going to make the smart decision. He'll cross the ball. Maybe someone makes an overlap. So that's going to be a key point. I think, final point here is if you play Modric, maybe Modric is someone that you can push a little bit more forward so he can be that creative cog, someone that can link the midfield and the attack. So Pulisic and Santi aren't either isolated or doing above and beyond what probably they should be doing. And you have Ricci to be that tempo-setting player, the player to get the ball deep from your defense. For someone like Pavlovic, where when he does make that stop, if he does, God willing, he can recycle the ball to Ricci. Ricci can do what he needs to do to progress play. That's how I think we need to play these games. Simplify things, but let Modric kind of be a little bit more in that advanced area where his magic can also play out.
And thank you for making that point on Santi being isolated, because I had conversations with multiple people, and again, I already said this in this episode that I'm not defending Santi's performance. It was poor. He was getting bullied off the ball. Wasn't good enough on the ball. There's no doubt about that. However, we talk about this all the time, and this is fundamental for strikers. Not every striker, right? Because he would be worth triple if he was able to do all the other things very well, right? Like, he wouldn't be in Milan's price range. There's obviously reasons as to why he was available for what he was available for because of those limitations. Guys, if a striker doesn't get service, they're likely gonna play like shit. Because you know what? They're not here to press insane. He's not a great athlete, Matt. So we know, like, you're not going to be seeing him win the ball back furiously. And
Milan fans of all clubs should know that. How many times did we have that conversation with strikers over the years? Piontek, right?
I mean, even Giroud. I love Giroud. Giroud is getting far better service as a whole, right? Like Pulisic on the flank, Leao on the flank, even Theo Hernandez.
And then where's he getting? Where's his bread and butter? Where's his gravy?
In the 18-yard box. And he's not, and he didn't get that last game. The other things he absolutely has to do better. This is Milan. Your standard has to be raised. Absolutely. I will always be calling out any player. However, I can't put it all on him. Because if he's not getting creativity from the midfield, which we just harped on for an ample amount of time in this podcast, how are we ever going to say in turn, oh, yeah, the striker should do better. The striker should. Hey, he was he was offside by a good amount but he finished the chance from Modric when he sent it into him. Like, he is there. He's making proper runs. I think on the bare minimum of what a striker should give you, I think Santi's done a relatively decent job for it. However, when Milan play like that, he's got no chance. He's going to get exposed for it. And I said it last season. If the issues get magnified when the whole is worse. Midfield's terrible. Oh, wow. This guy's doing nothing. Pulisic, we haven't heard his name. What are they supposed to do if the midfield can't do their job? If the defense is filled with idiots? And how many times again, Milan gets scored on first, then they have to chase the game against the side who sits back in Serie A, Matt.
Yep.
They love that. They fucking love it.
Yeah.
Cremonese
were totally willing very early on. It was evident. It was known. Hey, Milan, you guys can keep the ball. Take it. Have it. By all means, go for it. Because to them, a draw match day 1 at San Siro is a win, and that's a point earned. No problem. They'll take that any day of the week, right? No problem. The moment now, all of a sudden, they get that opportunity to burst forward and counter. What did they do? They even had several other dangerous crosses in the box, right? So like it was a blueprint. We all know what was coming. We all know what was coming in that game. And ultimately, that's where I said the first 15, 20 minutes were going to be very key for Milan. Because if they were able to get ahead, now all of a sudden Milan can play to not really their strength, but they can at least maybe tuck numbers behind the ball and play the Max Allegri way of maybe trying to win the game dirty, ugly, and more with organization rather than quality. And they weren't able to do that because they had to chase the game. So again, we can harp on both the first match day. The season's not over, guys. We have 37 more of these. So if you're going to jump ship now and you're going to lose your mind and not watch this club, then farewell. But it's a long season. It's one match day. We got to hope that we just follow it up and we get a victory away to Lecce, and we keep it pushing. It's one game a week, guys. We're going to be here every week during the season. So,
yeah, let's the House of Horrors. No layout for this one. We'll see what ends up happening. I guess we'll go into our predictions. You guys give us your predictions at the bottom of this. Again, if you stay throughout this entire episode, this was a bit more therapeutic than usual. We're sorry we've been behind on a couple of things. So again, really quick before we do all that, just remind you, subscribe to Apple and Spotify, Milan podcast everywhere. That Milan pod really turning it up big time. Check out me, Marco's latest hot take predictions. He put them out there. I was there right out of bed. You could see it in my face. I just woke up to go do that for him. Again, greatly appreciate all the content. We've been riding high. Like, you guys are awesome. Like, it's just the community in itself is just fantastic. We appreciate everybody who literally comments on everything and is still here. You guys are great fans. There's zero denying it. Whether we agree with the direction moving forward, where the club is going, how they do things. There's been so many great content creators, MLM podcast, Sempre Milan podcast, Pub Chat with Steph and Lorenzo, Football Kush, Old Hard Rossonero. Oh, real quick, just to give a shout out to him. I think you saw it and retweeted it.
I'll let you plug that real quick. My dogs want to come out, so give me just one second.
Just go take care of the pups. I'll go plug everything. And so the real important thing, Old Hard Rossonero gave a great breakdown and translation of the Curva Sud going on as to why they're banned, why they haven't been really allowed in the stadium, and why they've had troubles with the club. So he has great shorts. Obviously, I've been on his channel before. Matt also knows his content as well. So they've done a really good job of doing that. And there's also so many other creators that their names are. Oh, so yeah, Milan Weekly Podcast, Milan Coast to Coast, as well as the other ones. So again, with that, Matt, for your predictions, Milan Lecce Friday, what do you have?
I'm going to go 2-1 Milan. They're going to concede.
Who is the one?
I hope it's Camarda. I hope it's Camarda.
There is zero doubt in my fucking mind.
And I am going to go as far as saying I am going to actually take a small wager on him anytime goal scorer.
I had that last week, and it was bullshit that he did.
I think I'm going to actually put a small amount each week until he gets that goal. Yeah, it's a horrible betting advice, by the way, just to clarify for those that actually do engage in betting. But it would be cool to see him get his first Serie A goal, and I win a little money in the process. So
there's no doubt.
Milan. Santi gets a goal. Okay. I actually think it's Santi and Modric get goals.
Okay. There's not a doubt in my fucking mind. If Lecce score, that this fucking guy's first ever goal in his career at the professional level, the highest level,
against Milan,
is against us.
That's so Milan.
I swear to fucking like this shit. I've never seen anything. Or he has like an incredible assist too. We've already like he has that ability. This kid is insane. And by the way, and to wrap it, I think if they do, I don't know. I'll go 1-0 Milan win. I think it's gonna be a bitch.
I can't give us a clean sheet, man. After what I saw match day one, I can't do it.
I get it. I get it. I'm gonna go with it because I'm a sicko. I will say this just to wrap up this episode. If this fucking team, and I am angry about this, if this fucking team goes to sign an unknown striker at a rare, ripe age instead of a proven striker, I will go scorched earth on the decision to loan out this kid at this point because it is such a fucking stupid idea that like the idea as a whole in which I defended saying he should go on loan. He should.
That was the caveat, provided we were getting a veteran.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. If they don't do that, they could go fuck themselves. Truthfully, they could go fuck themselves because they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. And with that, I apologize for cursing so much this episode. We appreciate you guys for hanging out and chilling with us. As always, again, plugged everything, Matt's stuff at Matt_Santa, right? 22, or did I get it wrong?
On X at Matt_Santangelo, on Instagram at Matt_Santa2. 22? Yeah, it'll be shared in the IG post that Martino puts up on our channel. But yeah, that's all the socials. Hope to be putting out more content there, and hope honestly once the market wraps up, I'm probably gonna give some more deep thoughts and more of like an honest assessment that's maybe not rooted so much in anger and emotion. On the writing side, I want to get back into writing this year, so be on the lookout for all that stuff that will be shared on Twitter, X, whatever you guys want to call it.
Sure. Other than that, thank you guys so much. Take care.